Hello and welcome to The Sweaty, the Farmer and the Game Design, where our passion fruit has teeth and claws, but is 20 times more satisfying. This is part 2 of episode 5, Undiscovered Paradise Love. Thanks for joining us in this episode. We resume our deep dive on Monster Hunter World gameplay and core mechanics. Last week we were talking about the way the weapons work in the game. Here we continue that exploration. Enjoy. Shotgun is strapped to the point of the lance and you have a shield still to block and you can be attacked.
But it doesn't block as much.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't block that much. Yeah, that is true. But you still have a shield. You can
You still have a pretty good shield, yeah.
Yeah, you still have do proper blockage with the gun lance.
Yeah.
But this is I don't know. I find this weapon enduring because it's super flashy. Every time you shell, you do so you have shelling, which is you actually shotgun the monster in the face, pa pa pa, and then you recharge with the lance. Right, it's a big gun, and then you have the wyvern blast, which is this big cannon that flashes and then charges and then boom, or you can actually stick the monster with the wyvern blast and make a huge explosion with it, right? So you stick a bomb into the monster and then the bomb explodes.
Yep.
Right? So this is if you want to play lance but you want to do more damage.
Yeah.
With the lance, yeah. So it's the middle point between a tank and a DPS, but not really a DPS, but not really a tank. It's still fun. I find, especially for farming super hard monsters, you can cheese them with the gun lance because you have very decent block and a lot of damage if you know how to properly keep the rhythm of this gun.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, with pure shelling. And there's different types, and then you have weak shelling, or you have slow shelling, fast shelling. You can actually do sometimes you can actually do more damage with the lance than with the shelling. It's a very interesting and complex weapon, as all the weapons in Monster Hunter. Whereas another weird weapon when you have a lance with a shotgun strapped into the point of the lance, right?
Yeah, that's the trigun weapon.
Trigun weapon. Absolutely. And then we have the switch axe. So this is the transforming weapon.
Oh yeah, we're getting into a weird territory of
of transforming weapon. So this is how do you describe this thing?
The charge blade?
Yeah, the switch axe.
It's a mix between a longsword and a fast hitting longsword and a slow powerful axe. It's basically take a longsword, take a great sword, mix them together because basically this transforming weapon has two forms. Has one form that is fast attacking, almost like a longsword, and it has a slow attacking form that is closer to a greatsword, and you can switch between them, and you can charge. You can charge a meter to do more damage with one of the forms, and you charge it with the other. So basically, a whole loop is to knowing when to switch between one and the other mode, depending on if you're in a DPS phase or you're in one of your charging phases, little bars phase.
It's really weird and complex. This weapon is. It's you charge with your axe form, which is a big axe, and then you swing it around, and then you move to the battlefield and you charge. And then when it's charged, you change to your sword form, which is super slow, like the greatsword. And then you do a lot of elemental damage depending on the elemental type of the actual switch axe.
Yeah.
And then you do damage with that, and then you have a big finisher when you stick the sword into the monster, and then you turn it on as a chainsaw, and then you do a bunch of damage into the monster, and then at the end it explodes and it consumes up your charge. Super flashy, but all that time you're actually attached to the monster inside the weapon, and if the monster moves, you go with the monster while you're doing all that damage. So that's the point. You charge your blade, blah blah blah. You hit the monster, and then you stick it with the blade, turn on a chainsaw, unleash a big discharge of damage, explode it, and then you repeat it again.
You're thinking about the charge blade.
No, this is the switch axe. The charge blade is this is the switch axe.
Isn't the charge plate the one that has like the vials that you have to charge?
Yeah. I'm not talking about the vials. I'm talking about the charge of the actual switch axe. When you do that attack that you stick the monster in and then you discharge like a chainsaw, it actually consumes all your charge. That's why you charge the blade. Yeah? You remember?
I'm thinking. I'm thinking.
You thinking?
Because this weapon. This is the this is the one that you can stick your weapon in the mortar,
stick the
in the
blade
face
into
and explode. Yeah, okay.
Yes,
sure.
exactly.
I remember.
That's what I was explaining. All right.
It wasn't that clear, but sure.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you charge the weapon in axe mode. When it is charged, you change to blade mode. Then you attack the monster, stick it into it, press down as a chainsaw, like it actually makes the sound of a chainsaw. Then you do damage, and then it explodes at the end, and that consumes all your charge.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what that is, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it works. Okay. Now it comes the charge blade. This is the proper charge blade, right? The proper charge blade. So the charge blade. So the way it works.
The charge blade is a mix between a big ass great sword and a sword and shield.
Yes. So it says it's like this looks like a very classic sword and shield, which is super deceiving, right? You have like proper shield and like a big sword.
It is not as strong as the sword and shield.
It's nothing as strong as sword and shield. Nothing beats sword and shield. Mwahaha, mwahaha.
Yeah.
So you have this, and this the community for some reason loves this weapon to do damage for some reason. It's not a favorite weapon, but they love it. And it's like a super complex weapon because you have a bunch of system one into the other. So what you do is you hit with the sword. So you have vials. So this weapon has vials.
It's so stupid. It has vials that you have to charge. And hitting, but like when you charge all of them, you have to actually put them either on your sword and on your shield to do more damage or block more damage.
Yes.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
So what you do is you hit the monster and you charge these little 6 to 4 vials, depending on the type of charge blade.
Yeah.
When they're charged, when they're filled, you can charge either your shield or your sword to do more damage or different things. So you charge your shield to block better, or you charge your sword to do elemental damage on top of the normal damage that you do, right? And that requires charging the vials and then charging, right? So
then
you hit
loading,
the monster.
It's like loading them. Like
exactly.
It is like if you had actual vials, you collect stuff and then you have to actually like put it in your thing. It's so much work, so much busy, useless work, in my opinion. So, I really don't like this weapon.
So how it works is like you hit, charge, shield, hit, charge, sword, and then hit, and charge the entire thing, charge the vials again, and then you are in your ultimate form, right? Where you go and do an elemental discharge. And what is an elemental discharge? You do a combo, and then you transform your sword and shield into a big axe. And then you hit them, and then it consumes all your vials and do like a big burst of like elemental damage.
Yeah.
Right?
And rinse and repeat. Start the whole stupid process again.
And then this weapon has like, blocking points is the thing?
Yeah.
It's like, it has certain, and it's the only weapon that has this. In certain points of your animation of actually hitting the monster, you block attacks. Yeah. Right? So you have to get used to how your animation work to block attacks of the monster while it's still charging the thing and still doing all your combos.
No one uses that system that much, to be honest.
The blocking point?
Yeah.
It exists.
It does exist. But like if you go to YouTube and Google a guide for charge blade, they're basically gonna tell you, like worry about charging your vials and putting them into your things to your big damage.
Yeah.
And And they say, yeah, that's kind of the main thing. And yeah, you have blocking the block thing, but nah, no one cares.
And I think why the reason that this weapon is so like is because is the amalgamation of a bunch of systems, right? You are very agile, but you are on sword shield mode, right?
Yeah.
And you have like cool movements with the certain shield that are very fluid and they allow you to ditch a button. And then you have the damage of the gray sword when you are fully charged, right? When you do this big blowout charge.
It's definitely like a high damage, quite versatile weapon that requires a lot of skill to master. Yeah. But it's so complicated, so stupid. Too much.
He doesn't like it.
I don't like it. It's so like stupid. It's too much, like in my opinion. They just charge the thing and micromanage. Oh, the vial, and I forgot to put it in this.
It feels like I think like Monster Hunter is a complex enough game, and this is just like a mini game inside a mini game inside a mini game when you don't know what you're paying attention to.
This is unnecessary complexity.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But people like it.
People love it.
I think it's one of the most used weapons.
Yeah. Now the most used weapons is greatsword. No, it's it's longsword. It's the most. It's still the most used. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is one of the most used. It's like up there.
Up there, yeah. And it's like, but I think the thing I will say, because I will play, I did try it a lot more than Lucho, is super satisfying when you actually get to the combo and land the combo.
I also tried this weapon. It's just so stupid.
And you do all the damage in one sweep, and then you come back to, and then I super satisfying. To use it is super satisfying. I find it super satisfying to like do all that work.
I find it too stupid. It's just too much. I tried to play it. It's too stupid.
Fair enough. And then we have the other like micromanaged weapon, which is the insect glaive. Two pieces, right? It's the only weapon that has actual 2 pieces.
And it's in the name. It has an insect
and a glaive.
And it has a glaive.
Yeah. So your insect can be fast. It can deal different type of damage. It can be slow. It can be hard hitting. Right.
And okay, we should mention the insect is actual, like it's
an actual insect
that you carry in your forearm.
Like, yeah. So yeah, if you like bugs, well, okay. Yeah. But this is an actual insect, like an actual insect on your forearm.
Yeah.
And you shoot him and you command it to the monster, and then you have like this glaive. So the very cool part of this weapon is aerial combat, right? You are on the air all the time, and is the best weapon to do mountain damage. So what is mountain damage on Monster Hunter World? When you are fighting with a monster, and if you hit it in the air with air attacks, you do damage in order to mount the monster and trigger a knockout animation. Right?
No.
I'm explaining this correctly? Yeah. So the insect glaive, the majority of attacks that he does are aerial. So you just jump into your insect glaive, you're in the middle of the air, and then you hit the monster, and then you throw yourself with the glaive again, and then you hit the monster again, and then you travel. So you spend the majority of the fight in the air, and you dodge a lot of monster.
It's flashy AF.
Yeah.
But it feels super inefficient.
Yeah, super inefficient. It's the most fun thing to do. Like super fun to play. But in terms of damage,
in terms of damage, you have to be on the ground using your ground combos to do the most damage.
Yeah. But in the air, but it's the most fun in the air. You cannot argue with me.
No, it's fun, but it's kind of pointless. Like if you're in a hunt and you got to a public hunt and you see the insect glaive user, they're usually like dancing around there, that hitting the monsters. Like, dude, the monster is here. Why are you flying over there?
But it's super fun. I like it. And
but it's useless. Like,
and you do combos. Cool.
Okay, I guess my point is that most insect glaive players that you come across in public matches, are kind of useless.
Aww.
They are. They just feel it's like Dude, stop hitting there. Like,
we do mountain damage. Yay.
the sword does mountain damage. What's the point? The hammer does mountain damage.
Anyway,
all the weapons do mountain damage.
For me, this weapon is cool AF.
It's cool, but for me, it's one of the annoying ones when I get it on my team. It's like,
all right.
For F's sake, like, bring your toothpicker here and start poking the monster. And you,
So the way it works is you have this thing set, you send it to collect 3 types of buff, which one is speed, the other one is toughness, and the third one is damage. And these buffs are in different parts of the monster, which is kind of the mini game of the insect glaive, right? Yep. So at the beginning of the hunt, you just shoot them, you command your insect. You generally not even engage the monster till you don't have all the 3 buffs, because you're even more useless when you don't have the buffs. So you go command the insect, and then you run around the monster, you collect the 3 buffs, and when you have the 3 buffs, you're charged, and then you send the insect to attack the monster. And what the insect does is, it does a little bit of damage, but the most important thing is like it leaves little clouds of elemental damage.
Yeah.
Right? And then you explode, when you attack the monster in the air, you explode those clouds and do damage to the monster. And that's the whole thing about insect glaives, right? You leave all these clouds of damage around, then you start doing your flashy attack damage in the air and go left and right and fly all over and explode. Super flashy, super fun. I'm sorry. I love it.
Farting in the air. That's what insect glaive users do.
And then you have the insect has stamina, so it will eventually come back to you. And then when the buffs runs out, you have to collect them again. Basically, that's the loop of the insect glaive. Super fun aerial damage for me. The next weapon.
Fun, but useless. Things can be fun and useless.
All right, fair enough. And then we have the 3 range weapons, right?
Yeah.
Which is the light bug gun, which is like a little like automatic kind of gun that shoots doesn't do that much damage, and it has like the special attack is like you plant mines in the ground.
Yeah.
And then you explode it to do damage. Basically, that's the mechanic. And then you have ammo.
So I think, like, I guess we could talk about both bow guns at the same.
Light
because they share a lot of mechanics. Yeah, the light and the heavy bow gun. Yeah. Basically, these weapons shoot something. Ammo.
There's different types of ammo in the game. There's like shotgun
and there are multiple types of ammo. Like
and you actually craft this ammo.
Oh yeah, that's the main thing about this. Like that you have to craft the ammo. It's not free. Like you have to actually use materials to craft to craft all the ammo, and each weapon has different ammo that they can use.
Yeah, they have access to different types of ammo.
Yeah. And each ammo type has different like tiers. Like and again, each weapon can only use some of them. So basically, depending on what type of ammo you want to use, that kind of blocks which bowguns do you want to use. And basically, the way that you think of it is, okay, so I want to use this type of or I'm building for this type of playstyle with this type of ammo. And then that tells you which bowgun are you gonna select, either light or heavy bowgun. And they're just like machine guns.
Yeah, basically. And the heavy bowgun, the special attack of the heavy bowgun is it has 2 types of attacks.
It has 2, yeah.
One is the wyvern snipe, which is, as the name says, you sit down, aim down sights.
You lie down.
You lie down. You lay down. You lay down, aim at the monster, and then you shoot this like super powerful bullet that pierces the monster throughout and does a lot of damage. And then you have the say hello to my little friend mode. Which
you have the Rambo mode.
The Rambo mode, which is like the special attack, the second special attack when you just like unload on the monster. It's just like an automatic AR like machine gun.
Oh, it's not even an AR. It's like a heavy machine
It's like
gun.
a heavy machine gun, just like
straight out of a Rambo movie.
Yeah, exactly. And the difference between the two, besides the special attack, is that the light bowgun, as his name says, is super light. You are fast in your feet, but with the heavy bowgun, it has like you're super slow, like with the great sword. So you have to position well to actually do damage to the monster, etc., etc.
Yeah, the heavy bowgun is definitely a slow weapon, and you can actually like both the heavy and the light. The bowguns have these mod slots where you can put mods that change the way that they handle. Like either you can use more ammo or you can block. And like
You
one of
can
the
block
super
with a
fun
heavy- this,
things
like,
is that with a heavy bowgun, if you put if you use the 3 mod spaces for block to block,
Yeah.
you can actually tank with a heavy bowgun. And one of my heavy bowgun builds is that. It's like a tanking heavy bowgun. It's so much fun.
It's hilarious.
Because when I have played this with you. Like when the monster hits the bowgun, it sounds like clank, clank, clank.
And it's like, and you still see like a normal like long. Imagine a long sniper, man, with like two plates in the front.
Yeah, it's literally like a huge ass weapon with like plates on the front, and that blocks as much as lands. Like
it's hilarious, man. That's a lot of damage.
That's one of my builds for heavy bowgun. It's super fun.
And like in this weapon, like the heavy bug, the light bowgun, his main use is like status. He applies a lot of status, and he sometimes
it's considered a support weapon.
Yeah, it's considered a support weapon technically. Yeah. So he applies a lot of status effects, and he can like he has. It is the only one. I don't know if the heavy bowgun has access to healing bullets.
No. It's only a light bowgun.
And then this has access to healing bullets when you shoot your allies and then heal them. Yep. And the heavy bowgun is just like a pure DPS machine. It has like cluster bombs, which is like insane type of ammo.
But that's the cheesiest build that you can go for. Is a cluster bomb build, where you can basically cheese all the game by bombing.
Like a mortar. Like your heavy bowgun becomes a mortar, and then you just mortar down monsters.
Yeah.
And finally,
that brings from above.
The last weapon and the one that I used the most in my campaign was the bow. And this is like the middle child between the light bowgun and the heavy bowgun. It has decent damage, but as with the dual blades, the majority of this damage is elemental effects. Yeah. Right? So
and you should also mention that the bow doesn't use ammo.
The bow uses vials.
Vials that it's just I'm gonna say something that is kind of funny, because it's like you were coating your arrows with the vials.
Yeah.
But not all the bows can use all the vials.
Yeah.
So there are certain bows, for whatever reason, that you cannot that you cannot take your arrows.
Not even that. The actual, if you check, the actual vial charge is in the bow. So you put the arrow, and the actual bow, when you press it down, is vialing. It's like spraying on the tip of the arrow.
Still, that doesn't but that still doesn't make sense, because what limit is like the restriction is on the bow for a thing that you use on the arrow.
Yes.
I'm assuming that you are always shooting the same arrows. Like, it's just arrows.
Yeah, they're just arrows.
But no. If you're using this bow, you cannot dip the tip in that one.
No.
That's a no. It's funny, but it's a really good weapon.
So it's a really good weapon. The reason why it's a really good weapon is like it's super constant and reliable DPS all the time, right? So it's the way that a bow works is like you are on the move all the time where you shoot, right?
Sure.
Because to charge your attack, you have an animation when you dash to one side, and then you charge your attack and fire. Dash to the other side, charge to the attack and fire.
That's one option. You can also charge them just by attacking.
The thing is, like, you have to be effective with the bow, you have to have middle distance to the monster. That's the thing about the bow.
Yeah, sure, but you can still be like middle range and just attack them successfully to reach low to recharge.
No, because for charging you have to dodge. So
you don't have to.
Yeah, you do.
You can. No, you can like if you shoot.
If you shoot in charge normally.
Yeah.
But that takes forever. It's better if
It
you just
doesn't.
it's better if you dodge and while you dodge you keep your charge. That's the thing, right? When you charge with
I
the bow,
know. Sure, but you can
that's what
still
I'm
just
talking about.
charge.
Stand
Sure, but
still,
that's not the
yes.
only way to charge.
Yeah, that's not the only way. It's the most efficient way to do it, but it's not the only way. You can charge.
That's still arguable. Like,
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. Anyways, it's a very dynamic range weapon, and it has 3 types of charge. And once you reach the third type of charge, your arrows do more damage constantly. And then you have like point damage when you shoot like one arrow to a monster, or you have a spread damage when you shoot a spread of arrows to the monster, right? And then you have like bomber damage, which is the weirdest thing. Then when you can like knock down the monster if you shoot it enough with your heavy attack. When you shoot an arrow to the air, and then little spikes comes down raining into the monster.
Yeah.
Which is not the most effective way, but it exists. And then it has the special attack, which is the Wyvern Pierce. When you press your special attack, you take a supercharged arrow, and then this arrow pierces through all the monster and does a bunch of damage.
Yeah.
All right, and that's the boa. And then you charge vials. You have like status vials, and then you have pure damage vials. You can apply status to it, and then you can do elemental damage to it through the vials too.
The bow is another like really good status applying weapon.
Yes. It's right behind the dual blades. The dual blades are better because they are faster, but the bows are more reliable because they're like a constant DPS. I find it very cool. I really love the bow and everything that you can do. All the weapons that we mentioned are so cool in their own way, shape, or form if you like them.
But basically the thing with the weapons is you have to find your weapon.
Yes.
And you'll fall in love with that.
Exactly. And this is the class that you choose. This is the class that you choose. And what I love about this game is because they put the class system into the weapons, it makes it like infinitely flexible, right? In like typical RPGs, you choose a class at the beginning of your game, and that's it. You're a mage. You are a tank. You are a healer.
And then here you can switch.
And then you play the majority of the game. Yeah, and then you play the majority of the game with that, and you develop your tree, and then you make your build with that in mind, and then you are confined. And your option is you have to make another character, right? With this system, the only thing that you have to do is pick another weapon, which is fantastic. That's what I just said. Which is what you said, yes.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, that's what you
can
said.
pick any weapon anytime.
For me, it's fantastic. It's revolutionary. The fact that you disconnected the class from the character, right?
I think for me, what makes it brilliant more than that is that adds huge replayability value to a game.
Yes.
Because you can play all the game with one weapon and switch. It's a completely different experience.
Absolutely.
And that's huge. Like basically you can, at least if you want to experience the whole game, you have to play the game 14 times and hunt all the monsters 14 times and to experience and to learn all the weapons, and that's it has a lot of value in that sense.
Yeah. So and so this is like why we love Monster Hunter. This for me as a game designer is the brilliance of the game. Put in this system. And how do you progress into the game? You basically get better with your weapon.
That's what
you
one of the things.
Proficient. Right?
So there are multiple things that you need to learn in the game.
Yeah.
But one of the core components of getting good at the game is actually mastering the skills of the weapon, like understanding the timing, knowing the animations, knowing which animations are gonna block you, from which animations can you cancel to dodge and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The only way to know that it's just to play with the weapons, and
absolutely,
and you know that you're getting good with a weapon when you while you're playing, and you kind of know by instinct what to, like, it's kind
you
of
feel
cool. Like
you
like
flew, you do cool combos, you don't get hit
no,
by the
but
monster when you're doing
more than the
damage.
cool combos, and that is that
Yeah,
when you first pick up a weapon,
yeah,
it's kind of clunky. Like no matter
yes,
what weapon you pick,
yes, yes,
if
yes.
it is your first time playing a
That
Monster
weapon.
Hunter game,
Yeah, yeah.
so it feels kind of clunky. Like, okay, I don't know exactly how to move. I don't know, and it just after a couple of hours of playing with a weapon, it all comes into place, and you have that realization of, oh yeah, now I'm not thinking about when I'm
Yeah.
dodging, and you realize that, oh, I have mastered the weapon.
And
And
then you
that's the
say,
feeling that I actually pursue in this game, is that feeling of accomplishment of, oh, I know kung fu.
I know Kung Fu. And then you ascend into Valhalla.
Show me.
Yeah, and that's the feeling. It's like super satisfying to actually master fully one of
It
these
is.
weapons and be efficient in a fight and like actually dance with the monster and like so good. It's like know how to use your terrain with your weapon. There's some weapons that like are greatly improves doing tricks in the actual terrain, in the actual like jumping
Yeah.
into trees and doing damage through things and like dodging properly and then responding to the monster.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's so different from weapon to weapon
yeah.
that, like, it takes a little while to just switch, and it's just like, oh, when you get it, it's like so good. Like, it
Oh
feels
my
so
god.
nice to say, I'm good at this weapon.
And every time that you do it, you feel like you're actually playing a different game.
Oh, it's,
Like the
yeah.
combat between like a long sword and a bow are radically different. The combat between a gun lance and a light bow gun is like radically different. Like
No, you
Jesus,
definitely have to adjust, and that's, yeah, it's so cool. Like, it's
it's really
like,
cool.
you could even say there's like 14 games in one. Like,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Well, but we've been talking about all this time about weapons and that sort of stuff, and then there is no experience points per se. So how do you progress in Monster Hunter properly? How do
like
you
crafting
actually
weapons.
like crafting
I,
weapons?
actually, you have a progression tree, but the tree is for the weapon. So,
Yes.
so basically, yeah. So there are progression trees, and basically what they are is like, you have a couple of starting quote unquote weapons for
Yeah.
each class, and you can improve those weapons. Like, the game has literal like crafting trees,
Yeah.
and you can go, you progress crafting the weapons using the materials that you've been obtaining from all your hunts to craft improved versions of your weapons
Yeah.
until you get to a final versions.
So yeah, that's how you become more powerful in actual Monster Hunter. You go kill armor, kill hunt monsters, sorry. And with the materials that you actually carve out from the monsters, you make powerful weapons into that tree of the weapon
Yeah,
that you choose. And that's how you progress. That's how you become stronger.
there is, like, that's your progression tree,
That
but
is the progression tree.
it's a really nice take on the standard
Yeah,
skill tree.
because it's tied to the weapons.
Exactly. Like, no, like for sure. Like, after so many years of Capcom developing Monster Hunter, they do know that their strongest point is the weapon system,
Yeah.
and they lean into that. Like, yeah, like the progression is tied to a weapon.
Yeah, heavily.
The game loop is tied to a weapon.
Yeah.
So they do know.
But it's like so it's a brilliant for me it's a brilliant take into the RPG genre to like
Oh, it is.
disconnect your character the central of your persona because you make one character in the Monster Hunter and you live with that character through different weapons, but it's the same character, right?
It's the same character.
Yeah.
Yep.
From the actual like progression system. That's like brilliant. That's and everything is built around the weapon system, the progression system of your weapon becoming more powerful, getting different attributes, changing in appearance, getting faster, getting more charges sometimes, right?
Yep.
Sometimes some of the weapons modify the way you play with them. Not
Oh
in a
yeah,
drastic
definitely.
way, But that's the way that you progress in the monster hunting. And then the other side of the progression is the armor that you make with the parts of your monster.
Yeah, you not only craft weapons, you don't only put the pieces of the monster in the weapon, you put the pieces of the monster on yourself.
On yourself. And you go and hunt them with their own skin. It's like the most insulting thing ever.
Yeah, like just spit in their faces, like.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna take
just killed you, and I'm wearing your father in my head.
Yeah. Exactly. So you say that the armor is the weakest element in the game?
It's, in my opinion, like as we just discussed, the weapon system is like so deep, and it has so much things to it.
Yeah.
And in a sense, the armor. Okay, so to explain why I say that is because the main tool to do builds or to do builds in the game is through skills.
Yeah.
And those are given to you either on decorations or on the pieces of your armor. That's the only way that you get a skill.
Yep.
So either the pieces of your armor have skills or have slots, and in those slots you can put decorations. And basically the way to do builds is, depending on the weapon that you're using and the playstyle that you want to have, you pick and choose some of the skills
that are in pieces of armor.
Yeah, and then you pick pieces of armor that will allow you to obtain the skill, the levels on the skill that you want.
Yeah.
So basically, and in that sense, the weapon, the armor that has its own like resistance stats and stuff like that, all of that is kind of secondary. Like, as long as it has the skill, you pick it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, nothing else matters.
So you're saying that it's weak because it serves the weapon system more than it serves.
Yeah, it's kind of not a thing on itself.
Yeah.
And I get it because, as I just said before, their weapon system is the strongest part. Like, it's so good, and then a lot of the game like works around the weapon system.
Yeah.
But then for me, it makes that the armor system on itself is kind of lacking. I get it. It's playing again to its strengths.
Yeah.
But it feels kind of not that interesting. Like I don't know.
It doesn't revolutionize what you're doing because everything is based around the weapons. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a complement to the weapon system, right? That's what it makes it weak in your eyes, right? That it doesn't change.
I completely agree.
Right?
I completely agree. It's a complementary system for the
weapons. Yeah.
But I would like to have something like just another system to play with.
I know, but if you think about it,
it's fine.
If you think about it, is the enabler for build, right?
It is for sure.
Which makes it super interesting in terms of like the armor is not that it's not good in the sense that the armor will change the way you play the game, but it's good in the sense that the armor will allow you to play the game in different ways. I know this sounds like I'm talking gibberish, but it makes sense.
I agree, but what I'm saying is that.
So you feel like the armor could have a better impact into what you're doing?
Yeah, because how it feels to me, is that the armor could be just blank pieces
with like different
slots to put decorations.
Okay, yeah.
But, you know what I mean?
But it does look cool. There's some armor that actually looks very cool.
I'm not saying it doesn't look. It's not about the looks.
It's about how it feels.
How it impacts the gameplay.
Yeah. All right, I get you. I get you.
Like the armor are just blank things to put decorations on them and to get the skills that you want.
Yeah.
So whatever other things the armor is bringing to a game doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think
that's why it feels weak for me.
And I think it's super clear. Like it's this problem with the armor of being like too much in the service of the weapon is super clear when at the first levels the best armor that you can have is just a plain bone armor.
Oh yeah.
Because it's the one that deals you the more damage, and that's it. The rest of the armors, the rest of the like how much like
the low rank armor,
20,
it doesn't
20
matter.
category of pieces of rank armor are like useless.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. It's like you don't start like actually appreciating the armors till you don't get to endgame and you want to do weird stuff.
Yeah.
Or like very niche stuff. right?
That's kind of the point. Like the armor doesn't matter until you're forced to do a specific build, and then you realize, oh,
yeah,
what's meaningful about the armor is not the armor itself or the numbers that it has. It's just the slots and the skills that it has.
yeah, because
So
it serves for like this uselessly,
yeah,
this proper.
and if you actually like go to a reviewer that is reviewing like a monster's armor set,
yeah,
usually
just
what
looks at
people
the
say
skills.
is that
Yeah,
it just looks at the skills or the number of slots that it has.
yeah.
So basically, a good armor piece is either has really relevant skills for the game, or it has a lot of slots to put the skills that you actually want.
Exactly. Yeah. But the piece of armor itself is not driving you to do stuff. Like it's not driving you to like. Yeah, I know your point. Like it's too skewed to the weapon system, which is not bad. Like we're talking about like a critique, but this is not bad into the game. It actually serves the game properly.
Again, they know what works. They know the strongest point of the game. They lean into that.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's just like from an objective point of view.
Correct. Yeah,
it feels kind of it could have been more.
And I think they know it because they eventually will give you like layer armor. Just like yeah,
that's a huge different kind of worm that I'm not gonna open right now.
Okay, but they know that you are looking at armor not because of they look or they look together, but because of the usability of the skill, and then they give you layer armor to make you look good.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Like if you don't use layer armors to disguise yourself,
actually look horrible.
a lot of the wheels like look just bad. Like
they look
just
horrible.
Pieces of armor from monsters that don't match in aesthetic.
Yeah, it's terrible. You remember when I was using the piercing build, and it was like it was horrible. It was like pieces of Diablos, and then pieces of like Ratalos, and it's like gray on top of blue. No, brown on top of blue. It was brown on top of blue.
You know which armor I dislike?
Which one?
The curing pants. Oh, they're so ugly.
The short shorts.
The choppers.
The choppers.
Oh, it's so bad. Like,
man,
they're super useful to actually harm curing.
Yeah, but they're ugly.
Because they have like
ugly as
they have like the largest standard resistance.
Yeah.
But they're so ugly.
And the actual set is like hilarious.
The actual set is like brownie set.
Yeah, brownie set or like cheap prostitute set.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Like cheap 80s pole dancer.
And even Monster Hunter World, even with the weak armor set, it has set bonuses.
Oh yeah, that's
and it says
actually.
And I'm gonna read this. And I'm gonna read this in your face, Destiny.
I wrote that line. I'm proud. Even Monster Hunter, like it has exactly what we were talking about with set bonuses.
Yes.
If you put together certain pieces of one monster, and it gives you like certain skills
or like extra skills and that sort of stuff. And
there are some skills that are super useful.
Yeah.
Like
for example, Bahamut, the set armor from Bahamut is like a super set armor that you can play anything with. That set armor is super strong.
Super good.
Yeah. Super strong, and the set bonus items, it actually forces you to use it completely because it's that useful, right?
Yeah.
But your face test.
It's like no, and the point with this is like even in a game where I do acknowledge that the armor system is weak.
Yeah.
Even they have armor set bonuses.
Yeah.
So come on, like it's a widespread concept.
Yeah, please.
It works perfectly fine. And I will actually bring Monster Hunter World as an example of a game where the set bonuses are well balanced against the rest of the armor.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because you don't have to necessarily use them, but you can still integrate them into your builds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So they don't overpower and they are not underpowered. So
correct. Yeah, they have
balance on the spot. Like,
and they're varied. And this is the interesting part: is they're varied. There's some set bonuses which just require 2 pieces to trigger one of the set bonuses, and then 5 for the all. And then there are others which needs 3 pieces to trigger the first tier of the set bonuses, and then the final.
That gives you a lot of variety when you're looking what to build for. Yeah,
absolutely. I will agree to that. So there is a line here that says gear items with a big exclamation point.
Yeah, I mean, basically so far we have talked about weapons, armor, but as we mentioned before, a big part of almost every hunt is the gear that you're carrying around, meaning your potions,
correct,
the ammo for your slinger shot, the traps that you're carrying around.
Yeah, all the different vials for your bow, ammo for your heavy bow guns, your light bow gun.
Yeah, and my point with this is that I feel like the game doesn't really, like, when you're doing end-game stuff, it's super important that you know how to use
your gear items.
These things that may sound at the beginning like really weak and like these things don't matter.
Yeah, it's like but all right, cool. I have potions, right?
Exactly. Or like I have these 3 flash things that I can shoot, and I can only carry 3 of them. So who cares? I'm never gonna use them.
Yeah.
But when you go to the later stages, you find out that no. These flash puts, OP.
Yeah.
OP AF.
Super relevant. Oh my God. How can I make more?
And then you run into things like there are temper monsters that get immune to the effects of these things.
And then you cry in a
corner. So you have to actually manage how many do you use.
Yeah.
And it becomes like one and like another fundamental part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's kind of hidden at the beginning because I feel like the game doesn't want to overwhelm you at the beginning of the game with all these things.
Doesn't want to overwhelm you.
As you progress, it becomes more and more relevant. It's so smooth. Well done.
It comes in layers, right? It
comes in layers.
Oh look, weapon system. Oh look, super complex weapon system. Oh look, loadouts. Oh look, slinger ammo. Oh look, now everything is relevant. Oh look, decorations. Oh look, skills are relevant. And then it goes like showing you the system like in a very good pace, so you get used to them, like little baby steps, and then loadouts become the thing, and then what like at the beginning you go empty to the hunts, like without anything. You just go with like potions, life potions. It's the only relevant thing that you want to take because you want to pick up everything, right? And then in the later stakes, you actually have to manage your inventory. In the middle of hunts.
You cannot carry your stash is full and you cannot pick up anything.
Yeah, you cannot pick up anything. It's like, I already spent these potions to make another thing. I have a space. I'm gonna pick up this. Ooh, a flower. I'm full again.
you know which item is one of the shining examples for me of this? Is the bombs that you can carry. Like because everyone, like, bombing the monsters when they go to sleep is like a fundamental part of just making the hunt faster. And it's one thing that like everyone who plays the game knows. Like, it's amazing. Like the monster goes to its lair and it's gonna sleep. Oh, we all are gonna put bombs on that. On that MF in the face. Like,
of course, it's clear.
We're gonna blast it.
Yeah. And then you take the strongest dude that does more damage, and he was gonna detonate it, and he sometimes fails, and then he.
Yeah, but it's
in the corner.
it's a gear item that seems to be like a really small thing. Like, it's just a bomb. Like, it doesn't that much damage.
Yeah.
But then it takes it. It is twisted in a way that it becomes kind of like a fundamental part. And like now, all my gear loadouts have bombs on them because they're super useful. Like,
and everybody will like do that extra damage when the monster is asleep, because when the monsters are asleep or knockout, they take extra damage.
They take extra damage. Yeah.
So everybody wants to like do as much DPS all at once to make the hunt really fast, because like the things like if you stretch too much a hunt in Monster Hunter, like in the later stage, it consumes too much of your resources, and it becomes a problem. So you want to finish the hunts as quickly as possible, without not dying, without dying.
Without dying, yeah. Yeah, but
Right?
it's again like these items are that's the genius thing for me. Like
Yeah.
they seem too small and like a side thing that maybe you aren't going to put that much effort.
Yes.
But then it's just, oh no, this is huge.
And it's
This
yeah,
is a thing.
it becomes like you end up taking like super like mega potions, which is your health. You take like boosters, which is stamina booster, armor
Buffs.
boosters, buff boosters, and then you take like charms, which
Yeah.
augment your damage and your defense. You take like different types of sling and how to craft different types of sling. If you're using like
Yeah.
heavy bogguns or light bogguns, you take crafting parts so you can make
to actually craft on the fly.
ammo. Yeah, ammo on the field, so you can craft ammo on the field. If you're like a support kind of dude with this very particular skill that we're gonna talk in a second, you take actually crafting to craft more drinkable stuff and more buffs and all sort of stuff. You can take like this weird skill which is called Mushromancer, and then you have a bunch of mushrooms on you that you can eat.
Yeah.
And become a super supporter, super buff dude. It's like this system becomes like super relevant.
Yeah.
In the later stage of the game, and it's like very unique, right? It's very unique when you what you have, and like it reinforces this notion of hunt, right? You have to be prepared.
That's what I was gonna mention. Like, like the step on the gameplay loop where it becomes like on the preparation step, then you start thinking, oh, what gear items should I take?
Yeah. What food should I eat? Sometimes.
And that makes it feel like more real in a way. Like,
yeah, what food should I eat?
Actually preparing to go out and hunt.
Yeah, because and even to the point of what food should you eat before you go out, because there's food that gives you different types of buffs that you need in certain situations.
We're not even talking about the canteen.
Yeah,
because it's complicated and I don't understand it completely.
All right, imagine we have played this game how much?
Oh, hours, like hundreds of hours.
And we haven't we don't quite get to like the canteen system, which has like different buff for your palico and different things and skills that you can trigger in the middle of a hunt, and then you have chances and tickets and things that certifies and then you mix ingredients to make you more efficient. Like there's yeah there's another complete different world there, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god. All right. Build diversity, decoration.
Let's
talk about it.
So how do you feel about build diversity to begin with?
I think it's pretty healthy. You can do a lot of different things hunting monsters.
I think I think it's one of the healthiest games in that sense. Like diversity sense.
Yeah.
Because basically you can do whatever you want.
I'm talking about if you don't want like absolutely efficient or like speed running stuff. Like because there's clearly a meta in this game for some reason.
Sure.
Yeah, it's clearly a meta for like super efficiency, like absolutely insanely super efficiency. But that's not the point. The point is like with any build you can like hunt the 90% of the stuff, I would say.
And like my point is like maybe a super efficient farming build will kill a monster in 5 minutes, and any other build like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So sure, it's way slower. You can still hunt everything. Like
absolutely.
And there is, even though there is a meta, like you can actually attempt weird stuff and succeed.
Yeah, so it's super...
Which is the Pokemon build.
The Pokemon. All right, let's talk about skills. What skills there is in the game? There's a bunch of different skills that applies to you.
There are all the skills.
There are all the skills. Like there's like a lot of skills there. You have like the plain attack that only gives you attack damage, like flat damage. You have like critical, which lets you hit harder to the monsters. There's like critical eye, which actually lets you hit the monsters in a crit way, but without hitting a critical spot. You have stamina enhanced skills. You have health enhanced skills. You have health boost. You have ways to regenerate your stamina, ways to regenerate your health.
Yeah,
you have
it has
Mushromancer, which lets you consume mushrooms in the world and then they transform into buffs or healing. You have wide range, which lets you like apply your buffs to people around you. You have palico boosting skills. You have uh, elemental boosting skills. You have
Yep.
elemental resistance boosting skills. You
Yep.
have sharpness boosting skills. You have
It has.
everything that you can imagine that can interact in the systems in this game.
Yeah. If there is a stat in the game, there is
That,
a skill to enhance that stat.
yeah, that can
There
be
are skills
interacted.
to so that you can block more efficiently, that you can block without consuming that much stamina.
There are skills that don't let you flinch. That there are skills that don't let you like get a stagger when a monster
Earplugs.
grins.
Yeah.
Yeah, when a monster screams, they're like resistance to poison, resistance to every stat in the game,
Resistance to wind, to
resist to
thunder,
wind.
to
Yeah,
all the resistance. Like
all the resistances.
so, yeah, it's just huge. Like there are so many skills, and the point is that you can find a way to use them, like almost all of them,
Yeah,
if you really try. Like
yeah. If you really try, like it's a very 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 good system and very very flexible
oh,
because
it's yeah,
because the effects, the things that can affect your skills and what you do in the game comes in so many different directions. So it comes from your armor, it comes from the decoration, it comes from the buffs that you're applying to yourself, it comes from the weapon that you're using, right?
yeah.
So that makes the system super flexible, right?
There are even farming skills like that
Yeah,
give you extra carbs
extra.
or extra rolls on the card.
Yeah. So you can
That's
do like
amazing.
whatever you want in terms of building because this thing is super flexible. How? Because there is two different principal ways to actually affect your skill are armors, which the pieces of armor had natural skills onto them. So a helmet can have more attack and then more speed, and then it has a, I don't know, something that gives you extra things when you pick up. And then a chest can have more attack and more critical, and then they're natural on the armor. And on top of that, the armor has decoration slots, which are little gems that you can put into your armors that affect those skills, that give you more of that skill, right? So you can pick and choose which decoration goes in with armor, and that makes the system super flexible overall, right?
Yeah, the skill system is super deep, really flexible, and like just, it has so many options that you can go wild.
Yeah. So, like in terms of builds, what you can do a farming build. You can do a super tanky, insanely immortal build, which is the one that I love. Because if I'm not sure that I'm gonna kill a monster or it's too hard, I just take a build which takes no damage, has like high insane amount of defense, regenerates his life, and has like life stealing, right? And then you have the Pokemon build, which is a build when you do nothing and let you Palico, which is your cat companion, and then you go find another allies in the world, and they the ones killing the monster. The only thing that you do is buff them to that extreme when you can actually make a build when you don't actually play the game.
Yeah, where your little kitty companion kills everything.
Yeah.
But even if that, like that just speaks to the flexibility of the
Yeah,
system.
exactly.
That's the point.
And then you make like super damage builds with like a lot of attack, a lot of critical damage, and a lot of damage, and then you go with a great sword and to shot the monster, right?
That never happens, but sure.
I'm exaggerating, but it's an example. Or you can have super applying elemental skills when you do everything to do certain type of elemental damage to a monster, which makes it super strong. And or you have super tank builds when you become super resistant to the type of damage the monster is doing, and then you just like face tank him and do a lot of damage without him dealing you any damage. That is
Yeah.
the flexibility of this system. It's a really good and clever system, especially with the decoration. I think that's a very cool touch because you kind of like put the flexibility in a very like in a variety of places.
Yeah.
All right. Something else that you want to add to that?
No, it like I really feel like it's one of the few RPGs that has a. I mean, people may argue against it, but like that has a really healthy
Really hell yeah.
build diversity state. But like, because people will say, yeah, but like most of the builds are not super efficient
Yeah.
doing stuff. But like, yeah, but you still get to kill stuff, so
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
super viable.
Yeah, what is the point?
Who
Yeah,
cares?
super viable. Yeah, that's the point, right?
Yep.
It's not like any of these builds are like absolutely trash and you cannot do anything about it, right?
No.
That's the point.
If you're able to put a build together, you're gonna be fine. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Unless you throw just like random stuff.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work because you have to think out again. But
but yeah, in the terms like very good. All right, let's talk about group play.
Yeah.
Hunting with people.
Hunting with people.
So
hunting.
As a personal experience, we play this game in hardcore mode.
Apparently, without knowing.
We did it without knowing. We played the game the way that is difficult. Like at least Monster Hunter World as it is. In Iceborne, they actually fixed this. But
explain what happened.
What we play, the way the game works is like the monster, when you go and hunt them alone, it has certain life points adjusted to you hunting them alone, right?
Yeah.
But Monster Hunter World has this weird thing when if you have 2 or more players, the monster will be adjusted to 4 players.
Yeah, it's either single player difficulty or multiplayer difficulty. The thing is that even if you're 2 players, like the amount of damage that 2 players versus the amount of damage that 4 players can deal to a monster, it's hugely different.
And then the game just like present the monsters with like 4-player difficulty all the time if you're playing like with 2 as we did. Like we were just
and the thing is that we played most of the missions, just the 2 of us. Oh, some of them were so hard.
And we didn't know why. We thought that it was, I just thought the game is hard. That's it. And we were enjoying it. But apparently, like much later, when we started going to the end game, we find out that, like for farming, like high end stuff, like if you're playing 2 player, you don't do it because they're less efficient because the monster is adjusted for like 4 players, insanely difficult to kill. You're like, that's explain things.
that explained a lot when we found out.
So
that was
in any of these type of games, hunting with people is super fun. Like seeing everybody hitting, seeing like the different things that they bring, the different weapons in function and how they interact, like putting traps and like dealing damage. It's super fun to see all the 4 hunters trying to kill a monster.
We just need more friends to play Monster Hunter with.
Yeah, I know, right? We do have A3. I think A3 will come in Iceborne, and it will be 3 players.
I hope so.
Yeah. And the bad thing is like in Monster Hunter, when you go into a hunt, you have a limited amount of deaths. Then the hunt is over. That's the only bad thing, right?
But that's. I don't know, that just adds to the difficulty of the game. I don't.
Fair enough.
It's kind of annoying when you're farming something and you're failing a lot. Like when you're farming Earth Temper Elder Dragons and you're failing the fights quite a lot. So at that point, it's frustrating. But for the most part, it's kind of fine.
It's kind of fine. Like the system of multiplayer is fine. Besides that weird thing about the share pool of deaths, but in the majority of cases, if you're trying like to do something really hard, you generally find good help in general.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. For the most part, you find good help, people that are good at the game and go and help you kill among these monsters when you're stuck. There was one monster when we were doing like, I think it was Kirin. No, it was one of the dragons, one of the elder dragons that we're having difficulty to kill for the first time. And we did throw some flares and we go through that fight fairly easy.
Oh yeah, we probably did it at the beginning, like the first time that we were trying to hunt.
I think
some of their tempers.
If I'm not wrong.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember now. I remember that Balhazak, like our temper Balhazak, is probably one of the easiest to hunt alone.
Yep.
Because people just like he does a lot of damage.
He does
and it's really easy to die to Balhazak.
And the thing is, like, he doesn't do like damage in attacks, but he does constant AoE damage.
Oh no, even if you have the right build, like his physical attacks, hit like a truck.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
So it's really easy. Like in my experience, a lot of people die really easy to Balhazak.
Yeah,
like he jumps on your face and you're gone. Like
and you're gone. Yeah, you're destroyed. But
I think
overall,
he's one of the hardest ones to hunt in an uncoordinated group, like
yeah,
just with random
absolutely.
people.
Yeah, if you have like coordinated hunt groups, it's like super easy to hunt the majority of stuff and super fun.
Oh yeah, if you can talk to the people that you're playing with, it's just
Yeah, but with randoms, with like mostly our experience with randoms is been positive. It's been fun. It's been nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, there is like from time to time you'll find someone who doesn't know what the fight is because
yeah,
it's probably doing it for the first time, but fine, like
it happens. But it's
it
not like
happens.
the overall feeling about the group play is like super positive in my opinion.
It is now. It's just hunt with friends. That's freaking amazing.
Yeah, so good, so cool. So yeah, and I recommend it if you're gonna play Monster Hunter World, play it with friends. It's so much fast. Even if the campaign is annoying with the loading time and then the
Oh,
flare thing and
with the
yeah,
cutscene requirement for it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stupid. Like
But once you're like in a hub world and then you just posting because there's several ways to play multiplayer in Monster Hunter where you can do it from your base. Then you invite somebody to whatever you're doing. And the other point is like when once you're in a mission, you shoot a flare and then somebody else sees the flare outside the world and comes and helps you.
yeah,
Right? Those are the two entry points. So, but if you're playing with a friend, like it's super easy to coordinate hunts from the base. In the majority of activities that doesn't have to do with the actual campaign. So it's super
yeah.
fun to do to build stuff. So now we're gonna go to the expanded content of Monster Hunter. So the optional things and more important the raid, the raid
Is
with
that
air quotes,
yeah,
which is the
big
siege of
air quotes.
Kultarov. Yeah,
Yeah,
the siege of Kultarov, which is this lovely dragon lady.
which is it is also like this siege activity. I really like the mechanic of like the whole idea is that you have a group of people of 16 people in one session
Yep,
and like you apart in groups of 4
yep,
to do the hunt, but like there is like an overall progress for the session
yes,
that like if one team completes one objective it counts for everyone else, and then like basically you will have to repeat this mission a bunch of times, but each time based on the amount of objectives that have been completed
yep,
makes it faster.
yep.
It's like wow, that's such an such an interesting idea on how to take this
Raid like encounters.
man, yeah,
Yeah,
and like how to make like like a quest that is designed for a lot of
a
people
lot of people. Yeah,
when you are limited to have
four
instances to
squads.
4 players.
Yeah.
That's
And I wish they like explore more this of this concept, right? Because they only did
yeah.
Kultarot and that was it, right? I don't know if in Icemore will have something similar, but so
I'll
far
hope so.
the only instead of this is being Kultarot. It's been like a fun activity every time it comes around. Everyone wants to do it.
It's actually I really like this fight. I don't know why. Like I like the fight itself. I like the collaborative effort.
Yeah, and it has this.
Whenever Culturat is around, like you will always find sessions of people that are just running Culturat,
Yeah,
and you can jump in the sessions, take part of the fun.
yeah,
It's
it's
lovely.
super
I love
super
it.
interesting. I think it's like a very cool take on the raid like activities.
Yeah,
I really like it. I hope they like explore more of this concept of like global quests that you can do with more than 4 people and like progresses stages and that sort of stuff. It's a really cool concept in terms of progress.
yeah,
It is a really cool fight. Like it has stages, which is cool in different
yeah.
zones, and then you have to do different stuff in all the stages. Not only like hitting the monster, but you have to bomb the monster, move it from place to another, try to like remove certain parts of it, and hit him in the face, and blah blah blah. And then he changed forms, so he's
Yeah.
one of the monsters that transforms, and you have a different fight in that change form in different arenas. It's very
It has
cool. Very
different,
cool.
yeah. In each arena, it has different moves and different attacks.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's just like a really well-rounded fight, and like the collaborative effort feels real. That's what I like. Like just
Yep.
like yeah, I'm playing this with 12 or 16 people. It's not only the 4 of us in our instance of the fight.
Yeah. So it's really cool. It's really
Yeah.
cool. I really like it. And for the other like expanded content, I think we'll talk more about it in the next
There are so
in
many
the next
things that we
podcast.
haven't talked
But I
about.
will say about like the side quest and the optional quest, everything is fun to do. You have arena quest when you can like study the monster in a more
Oh yeah, the arena
content.
quest.
Yeah.
The arena quest is something that we're going to talk about in detail next week, because
Yeah.
that's something that I find really interesting.
Yeah, but the
But I'm really
majority.
bad at, but I find
All right.
interesting.
But the majority of side activities are very good, are very cool. More
Yeah.
hunts, more monsters, interesting like lore tidbits and crossovers. They're like super entertaining
Yeah.
to do. You never feel when you go into these side activities that you're doing a chore or something. They're always fun and weird.
Yep.
So sometimes there are some side activities which puts you in different builds and different weapons. So this is the game, the way the game lets you try different weapons without having to invest a lot of resources into trying that weapon, which is a very cool system where it's not like Destiny that you have to do bounties with this weapon, but you have one fight with a decent build when you try the weapon, and that's it. Right? Super uncompromising, super fun. The monsters are generally not that difficult, and the builds are well calibrated for what you are trying to kill in the majority of the side quest activities in the arenas. So the side quests and the activities and the optional quests are all good. They generally brings like upgrades, like the canteen side quests when you go for a material and they give you upgrades.
Or the mantles.
Or the mantles, for the
like all the side quests at least are tied to upgrading little things in your hub. So getting better food in the canteen, or like obtaining more gear items and so on and so forth.
They're super intrinsic.
Getting more space to farm to grow things on your tree.
Yeah, getting at your own farm. That's one like super important side quest, right? Getting your own farm, completing the monster manual, which is the other side quest activity that you do.
Yep.
And like my point is here, all these set activities of this game actually work for the game, right? There's nothing that is pointless.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing that just only gives you resources. No, every side activity accomplishes something in the game, right?
Definitely agree.
Something meaningful. That's my point. That's what a side activity should do. Anyways, so with that, we finish our deep dive. Next week we will talk about lore. We'll talk about world building. We talk about monster design, which is
a huge part of the game that we never talk about.
About encounter design, and we go a little bit deeper about how the game uses the levels and the things that are in the levels. Customization in terms of like aesthetics, and a little bit of the speedrun competitive scene that exists in this game, which is super interesting.
It's so insane. Like, I love it.
So wait for that for next week. But for now, we have audience questions and feedback.
Yeah.
Our first question is, in which situation in RPG games is a bad idea to have set items?
None, if they're well balanced. But that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, the thing is like there is some if you are into there's some RPGs which have another how to explain? If you have like another different system that doesn't need like pieces movement, that is based in a tree, or if you have like not that many slots, it's not a great idea to have set items. Like if you have like very few slots and you're basing your progression system more in points. Like for example, in the progression system in Borderlands, it doesn't make more sense to have set items because you have very few limited slots. You have like armor packs, grenade slots, and in your weapons, and that's it.
Sure, right? but you could argue that a game like that doesn't have, quote unquote, like a proper armor system with a lot of space. So it doesn't make sense to have that.
Yeah, but technically it's an RPG. Which
it is an RPG. It just doesn't have that system.
Yeah, it doesn't have that. I think that's the idea. But in the rest,
Sure.
it's a hard thing to put, but I will put it every time. I'll try
If
to
you
put it
can,
every time.
do it.
You can do it. Do it. All
Yeah.
right. What is the next question, Lucho?
So, what is your favorite underrated slash unknown RPG?
Favorite underrated slash unknown RPG.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big question. Let's see. Here's a. I had this RPG in mind, which is like very niche. I forgot. Does it have to be a video game?
Yeah. Is there a thing about video
Yeah.
games?
I don't know. My favorite. I don't know. I'm so streamlined. I'm so like generic
If
with I've
if you
played.
had like if you had to recommend an RPG to someone outside of like the better known titles, like
Man,
what?
I'm gonna actually open my Steam account because I
Come
probably have
on.
it there. Like I play so many games. So like you go to my stream account like around 300 games in there.
Sure, but
And I play
like
like
there
games
has
at
to be some no, but come on, there has to be something that made an impact in you. Like
oh my god, that's so difficult, man. You're gonna make me think about it. I'm actually opening my Steam because I wanna actually know. And I will tell you.
so weak.
Tell me, Wick. I don't care. What is
So
yours?
weak.
While I look for mine.
Mine is it's an RPG name. It lurks below.
It lurks below.
Yeah, it is developed by David Browick,
Yeah.
the Diablo 2 designer, lead
Yeah.
designer. And this thing was basically programmed completely just by him. Like he did the engine and everything.
Yeah.
It's just a single one effort. It's an amazing RPG, actually. Like kind of 2D pixel art aesthetic,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but like randomly generated uh, encounters.
Yep.
It's so good. I don't know if it's underrated. I think the people who have played like it a lot,
Yes.
but it's not that big. Like I wish it was a bigger game because it's amazing. It's so much fun. It's like the way David Berg describes it is
Yeah.
like if you like the gameplay of Diablo 2, this is the
Yeah.
game for you. It just has another aesthetic. Like it's like randomly generated world with ways that you build up little by little.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
has all the RPG elements. Like it just has weapons and armor and consumables and skills. It's really cool. It's a really nice, I guess, indie game. I love it. It's so nice.
I found them. I found mine, and I was thinking exactly about this game, but I didn't remember the name. It's called The Last Remnant,
Okay.
and it's this like very Final Fantasy game, made by Square Enix, that never took off, right? Because it's a
Okay.
very complex RPG system, like taking a bunch of like pieces of Final Fantasy and like trying to make like that real combat game incremented but with complex systems, and you have like these kind of summons like Final Fantasy, but they're actually uh, like very old machines that you actually bring into the war again, and like it's super interesting, super crazy, very cool lore. And there is one like it looks like it had in mind a franchise as big as Final Fantasy, but it's just this
Okay.
one game, and it has like amazing system. The explorable areas are super cool, and like it did it better than any other Final Fantasy 11 or anything that came in that kind of like open world system, and it's super cool.
Yeah.
So I will recommend The Last Remnant. Like I
Okay.
replayed that game like countless times. It's not that well known. It's from Square Enix, and it's not that old, but it's not that new. It's like kind of like at the time that like Final Fantasy X came out,
Yeah.
around that time. Around that time is The Last Remnant, and it's very
Oh,
cool.
yeah. Not at
And
all.
I think it's
Yeah,
super underrated. I don't see enough people talking about it because it's like kind of lost in the shuffle of like all the Final Fantasies because it has a similar aesthetic, but it's like different enough to be endearing, charming, and it has like really interesting systems.
fair.
There
Yeah,
we go.
that's fair. Yeah, just to mention it, the game that I mentioned, it lurks below.
Yep.
It's actually a fairly new game. Like he was developing last year.
Wow.
It's basically I just want to promote it. No one paid me for that, but I love the game and I
Hashtag no
love the guy.
sponsor. Hashtag please sponsor.
I don't. Yeah, if he could afford sponsoring that, sure. But it's an indie game. Like it's
Fair
just
enough.
like it was completely like what is surprising to me is that he did the whole thing.
Wow. Yeah, of
He
course.
programmed the engine. He programmed the game in
Jesus.
his engine. Amazing.
Nice.
Like smart guy.
Yeah. Check them
Smart
out.
cookie.
Check them out.
Yeah.
And then
Check
the
them out.
last question from our audience. Remember, we look at your comments on YouTube. We look at your personal tweets. You can send us at our email any questions. We will answer this here live on the podcast. What is the best endgame that you can imagine?
Fashion endgame.
We're circling around Warframe. No matter what, it gets a mention in every podcast.
Not only. No, but like
I was like, oh, we have seen all this entire episode without mentioning Warframe. Nice.
No, I mean, if I have to be honest, like when you play a role-playing game, and let's say not only video games, but any role-playing game.
Yeah.
The main appeal to me is to do cool stuff.
Yeah.
While looking cool.
Do cool stuff while looking cool. All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for the most part, like in most like RPGs or games where you farm for your stuff, at some point you get powerful, like so powerful.
Yeah.
That most of the content is quote unquote easy.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So now that the content is easy, what's left? I want to look cool AF doing it. I want to walk around people looking and turn people's heads towards me.
Fair enough. That's a perfect endgame.
Yeah, I mean, the point is that how did you attain the look cool part? That's a different question. But like, I just want to look cool at doing stuff. That's
all right. Yeah. All right. That's it. That's a valid answer. And for me, what is the best endgame that I can imagine? I don't know. I can imagine like a bunch of stuff. I can imagine a super like I think Path of Exile has something like very close to this when they have like super well like endlessly randomly generated levels that you can explore with like very high peak stuff when your system get evolved from one point to the other. And I think like that's the best endgame that you can have. Something that evolves your system constantly in a random manner with random stuff and like have a lot of like different challenges that you can attain, because in this random generation you can have those like challenges that you have to accommodate how to get. And for example, for me, Monster Hunter is very close because at the end game you have to accommodate of what you're hunting, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, you don't have endless generating monsters because no. But that will be like a very interesting thing when you have like to accommodate to randomly generated stuff. And that's what Part 2 XL gets close, because they change stuff with the leagues and their end games, the maps. You can like construct maps, but they're randomly generated, but you have some level of control over them. That's kind of like a good end game is for me. Fashion end game, I will take it too.
But none of that endgame matters if your character looks bad.
Fair enough.
If I cannot do it while wearing pinky wings on my back, doesn't matter.
Oh my god. All right. In that note, with that note, we're going.
Yeah, we're going. That's all for this episode. Thanks for turning into this episode of The Sweaty, the Farmer, and the Game Design. My name is The Lucho, and you can find me on at Luis G. Polanco.
And I am the Long Name Gamer, and you can find me on at the Long Name Gamer and on Twitch /TLNG, where I stream Mondays to Friday. All these games that we're talking about, the majority I stream them. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to The Sweaty, the Farmer, and the Game Design. I love you all, guys. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
And did you know? If you're having trouble sleeping or feeling anxious, most of the time, regular consumption of passion fruit might help. Passion fruit juice and the leaves and flowers of the passion vine contain the alkaloid harman, which has a mild sedative effect and can aid in inducing sleep. So I can shoot it to monsters and put it to sleep, right?
Yeah. And if you didn't know, passion fruit is a peepal, a type of berry, round to oval, either yellow or dark purple at yellow or dark purple at maturity, with a soft to firm juice filled with numerous seeds.
Sounds sexy.
It is. That's why it's called the passion fruit.
And it puts you to sleep.
Full of
so
passion.
much passion. And it puts you to sleep.
It is juice interior.
I just want
Not
to
dirty at all.
I just want to shoot passion fruits to monsters. Sleep. Go to sleep.
You wanna shoot passion fruit juices to a monster?
Oh my
That's
God,
dirty.
Jesus! Shoot that juice, shoot fruit at me.
Please not.